you see him on the news.
CNN.com contributor, Dean Obeidallah. So, Dean...
Watch him at comedy clubs.
When I say Mecca, do you think of a holy place or an urban clothing line?
Read his articles, and you hear him on the radio. The Dean Obeidallah Show is on live right here on SiriusXM Progress, channel 127.
And welcome to the show. Dean Obeidallah Show, we're live. I'm trying to share the videos on Facebook, so I was caught off guard there. Hope you're having a great night. Thursday, March 14th. I'm Dean Obeidallah, hoping, as always, to be your MBFF because I am needy. I'm the neediest Muslim out there. There are others out there, but I am the most needy. A lot to talk about. Really, a lot to talk about. I will just use top line. Today was a horrible day for Trump, which means it was a great day for America. But let's have some fun first. Here's Jimmy Kimmel yesterday talking about Donald Trump whining on Twitter about how the late night jokes are unfair, and he cited Jay Leno for this, and it's completely true. Here's clip number one.
Fortunately for our president, Twitter was up and running, no problem at all. President was tapping his tiny little fingers to weigh in on, of all things, late-night comedy shows this morning. He wrote, Jay Leno points out that comedy on the very boring late-night shows is totally one-sided. It's tough when there's only one topic at Fox and Friends. Actually, the one-sided hatred on these shows is incredible and, for me, unwatchable. What a snowflake. But remember, we are number one president. Are we sure English is the first language? Because what the president was referring to was an interview with Jay Leno on the Today Show, during which Jay was talking about how talk shows have changed since he went off the air.
When people see you as one-sided, it just makes it tough. And plus, I did it when, Clinton was horny and Bush was dumb, and it was just a little easier.
Right, he's right. It's harder now because Trump is dumb and horny at the same time. And so now we have to cover both things.
Listen to the audience go crazy. I love that when the audience at these shows, it's skewing younger, and they just like laughing at Trump because he's a punchline. And it was yesterday, Jay Leno was trending on Twitter. And I'm like, oh my God, did Jay Leno finally say something funny? And then I looked it up. I'm like, no, he didn't. And then here's Jimmy Kimmel adding something that I think it is so truthful. I interviewed Seth Meyers about a year and a half ago, said the same thing, that they talk about Trump. They wish they didn't have to. They would trade every joke in the world to get rid of this guy. And here's Jimmy Kimmel following up on that. Clip number 2, please.
I don't want to talk about Donald Trump every night. None of us do. None of us who host these shows do, but he gives us no choice. If he sat in the White House all day quietly working on things, I would almost never mention him because it's not interesting. But today, not even today, before 10 a.m. today, before 10 o'clock this morning, his former campaign chairman was sentenced to prison for the second time in a week. He called himself the most successful president in history, and he tweeted to let people know his wife hasn't been replaced with a body double. I'm not supposed to mention that. Obama wore mom jeans one time. We made jokes about it for 6 straight years. How about this? You stop being terrible, we'll stop pointing it out, okay?
Listen to that energy of people. And it's completely true. Trump did tweet yesterday about the rumors over the weekend of body double Melania, fake Melania out there, and Trump got all upset about it. So let's talk about a little bit about Beto, then talk about why today was the worst day for Trump. Betomania's here, my friends. Some people are catching it, some are not. And just want to play about 40 seconds. This was Beto's first words as a candidate in Iowa. He didn't have a big rally, setting the stage type of event like we saw Amy Klobuchar do, or Bernie, or Senator Harris. He did the video, and then he did this. So this was about 40 seconds. This is the first 40 seconds of the Beto campaign. You're going to hear it right here in an Iowa coffee house this morning. Clip number 4.
And in the spirit of that, I want to make sure that I have a chance to listen to you. This is my first time to ever visit Iowa. This is my first time to ever visit Keokuk. This is my first time to meet most of you here in this room, and so I'm looking forward to the conversation, to hearing what's on your mind, to answering your questions, and even better, if you want to pose the solution to your question from your perspective, from where you live, from how you see things, I am all ears right now. There's no sense in campaigning if you already know every single answer, if you're not willing to listen to those whom you wish to serve. And that's what brought me here, along with hopefully a cup of coffee.
So Beto O'Rourke in the race. I think we're up to 13 official candidates, 27 or 28 more to happen. Who knows what's going to happen? What I found interesting, though, is here is how, and Trump is unnerved by him. Trump made fun of his arms, which, genius. But this was actually more serious. Here is Hogan Gidley, who is the deputy spokesperson. Sarah Huckabee is the top, and then Hogan Gidley is right below that. He was on Fox News, and listen to their line of attack that they have against Beto, and I find it very, very curious. Here's clip number 6, please.
And if you look at the climate...
No, clip number 6.
Which if...
6.
Beto O'Rourke is now in the game for the Democratic primary. What's the president think about that?
Well, first of all, you pronounced it wrong. It's Robert Francis. That's number one. Number two, we don't care who gets in the race. The fact is the president's going to win re-election.
His name is Robert Francis, not Beto. And why? Well, articles are talking about Fox News has been continually calling him Robert Francis because conservatives are trying to make Beto more white. I'm not even kidding you. This is the first ever that they're actually trying to mainstream their opponent, not demonize him like Trump did with Obama, saying he's a Muslim and he's from Kenya, and how he demonizes all his opponents of color, so calling people like Maxine Waters low IQ. They are literally trying to say, to make it clear, he's not Hispanic, because Beto is a common nickname for the name Roberto. And he's been using that since he was a kid. It's not like new. He's been calling himself Beto because that's what people called him. And this is remarkable. They literally are trying to get people to not view him as Latino because Trump is very concerned about that. In Trump's own calculations, he's going to do great with Latinos. Just so it's clear, every poll shows Donald Trump has the same amount of approval now of Latino voters that he got in the election, which was just about the same as Mitt Romney. Nothing special. Trump can lie. There was one poll that was an outlier that they keep citing. That's not even close to the reality. But here is where, and we'll talk about Beto. We'll take some calls on it later. I first want to go through why today was a bad day for Trump, which means a good day for America. Any bad day for Trump is a good day for our nation. And here's why. Today is the beginning, and I really think it's the anatomy of the president losing their base. And hear me out, because I might be reading too much into it, and I want to hear from you. And, walk me back if you think I'm wrong. Donald Trump declared his emergency, national emergency, the fake emergency, a few weeks ago. Republicans in the Senate especially told him, don't declare an emergency. Don't do it. It's going to be unconstitutional. We're not going to support it. Don't do it. Trump didn't care. Trump says, he's the greatest president since Reagan in his mind. He's better than Lincoln. He's the greatest Republican ever. He tweets all the time. I have 85, 90% approval among Republicans, which on some polls is actually true. So he's like, no, I don't care what you say, Republicans in the Senate. I'm going to do what I'm going to do because you have to follow me. I'm the king. I'm the best Republican ever. And earlier this week, 2 Republican senators, Mike Lee and Tom Tillis from North Carolina and Mike Lee from Utah, went to Trump and said, look, you're going to lose this vote in the Senate. We've come up with a compromise where we can get enough support for this, but you have to agree to actually amend the National Emergencies Act of 1976, which is where the triggering of the emergency was from. And Trump goes, nope, not doing it. Not going to do it. Not going to give in. And it's not like Trump did not try to end this national emergency nullification, because to remind everyone, the emergency Donald Trump declared was under the National Emergency Act of 1976. And in that very act, the terms of it say Congress can overturn a declared emergency. And you need both chambers to vote for it, like a bill. Unfortunately, it has to go to the president to sign it. But so Trump goes, nope, I'm not going to do it. And Trump had Mike Pence talk to the senators. The last few days, Trump talked to the senators. He's been tweeting about it. In fact, today, this very morning, he was tweeting trying to get his base riled up to call their senators, saying a vote for today's resolution, and that's the nullification one, by Republican senators is a vote for Nancy Pelosi, crime, and the open border Democrats. And you know what? Here's the truth. But for the midterm elections, Trump probably would have won this thing. I think in his own calculations, he's like, I am so wildly popular with the GOP. Polls don't matter. They're all fake news. I won. And I bet perhaps he would have won. But here's the thing. The midterm election did happen. And we have objective results. And that is 40 Democrats flipped Republican seats in the House. And we got over 8 million vote margin of victory. The biggest margin of victory in any midterm election ever. We also flipped 7 governorships from red to blue. So they're looking at this going, This guy's really starting to drag us down. Add to that, today, Thursday, March 14th, Donald Trump's approval rating today is still around 41%. It's like 41.2% because I'm obsessed with polls. I'm talking about the 538 average. This is average of all polls. It's very credible. Donald Trump's disapproval rating, literally, as of today, 784 days into his presidency, is the lowest of any the highest disapproval rating of any modern day president. No president at a 784 days into their presidency has had as high of a disapproval rating as Donald Trump. And they're thinking, and the economy's good. You imagine the economy is not good? We're going to go down like the Titanic and worse. No one's going to find us. Nothing. No Rose, no Leo DiCaprio. You're on your own. And the economy probably will slow down. I'm not wishing for that. It likely will slow down next year. And they are very, very weary of this. So things have changed so much. Trump didn't care. So he had a vote in the Senate this afternoon. All he needed to do was keep the 53 Republican senators intact. He could have lost 2 of them. He could have actually lost 3 of them. And that's 50 votes. It would have been fine because Mike Pence could have cast a vote. How many votes did he lose today? Not 2, not 3, not 5, not 8, 12. 12 Republican senators went on record and defied Donald Trump and defied Trump's base. 12. This is unreal. 59-41 the vote was in the Senate. And so there's now both chambers of Congress have voted to nullify Donald Trump's fake emergency. It goes to Trump. Can they overturn it by override the veto because he's going to veto it? We're not sure. Unlikely. But think about this. Donald Trump, the Senate that he controls, that he thought he controlled, lost horribly by 12 votes. And people like Mitt Romney, who did vote to overturn, said, I am seriously concerned that overreach by the executive branch is an invitation to further expansion and abuse by future presidents. Republican Senator Lamar Alexander of Tennessee said the declaration is a dangerous precedent. Here are the Republicans who put the Constitution over Donald Trump. We've got Mitt Romney, you've got Lamar Alexander, you have Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Rand Paul, Mike Lee of Utah, Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania, Jerry Moran of Kansas, Rob Portman of Ohio, Marco Rubio, Roger Wicker of Mississippi, and Roy Blunt of Missouri. Oddly, Tom Tillis from North Carolina, a Republican who wrote an op-ed 2 weeks ago urging senators to vote against this, voted for it. Unreal. But he's up for re-election, and I think he's afraid that Trump won't come down to help him, and I'm sure he got pressure. But 12 Republicans today defied Donald Trump. That never would have happened before the midterm. They did everything he wanted. He would have been able to repeal the ACA, but for just 2 Republican senators. 12. And another thing to keep in mind, folks, 12 is only 8 short of 2/3. And why does that matter? Well, 1, to override the veto, but secondly, it's 8 short of what you need to remove a sitting president by way of the impeachment process in the Constitution. We are just 8 Republicans short now. Because we all say, well, impeachment, we're going to get it in the House, but then it goes to the Senate, and you need 2/3 to remove Donald Trump. We are just 8 votes away from Republicans. This was a big day. You had 12 Republicans saying, I'm putting the Constitution above Donald Trump. I applaud them. They may never do anything good again, but for this very moment, I applaud them. And it perhaps means if there's more evidence, we could get the other 8 we need to remove Donald Trump. And Donald Trump's a criminal. Now, they think he committed those crimes before he got to office, but they believe 65% that Donald Trump is a criminal. They believe their president is a criminal. That's taking a toll on the GOP, and we're seeing it now with the senators. So let me ask you, and you're my guest at the top of the hour, am I reading in too much, or do you get the sense that this is a real big crack? This is not losing 3 or 4 votes. Folks, if he had just lost by 5 votes today, I wouldn't be crowing like this. I would not be gleeful, nor I would be trying to make a bigger argument here. Losing 12 votes is substantial. This is tremendous. In this House, they only lost 13 Republicans. Keep that in mind. They only lost 13 in the House. They lost 12 in the Senate. And there's a fourth of the number of members of the Senate than there are of the House. 435 members in the House, 100 in the Senate. Also almost the same number, raw number. This is remarkable what's going on. Also, I'd love to hear what you think of Beto-mania, Beto O'Rourke. I know Michael said he was having a robust discussion about it. People like him or not, I'm not taking a position on any candidate. I will push back against any lies people have. I'm not saying you're going to lie. You could have some Trumpers sneak in here and pretend like, I used to be a progressive and then blah, blah, blah. But I'd love to hear your views on that. And also the candidates now. We're down really to Biden. I mean, Biden's the only big name. There are others out there, but the big name people that people are waiting for, unless Stacey Abrams decides, and it seems that she's really not, but I think she's hinting at it, but I think she would be a big name if she chose to run. I think she would add a lot of energy, but I don't really think she's going to run this time. But Biden's the last one out there. And looking at this field, I'm almost like, is Biden out of step with this field in a way that we have such a range of people? Do we really need Joe Biden? Or no, I'm not against Joe Biden at all. I'm just wondering if we need him, because a lot of him running, I think his own calculations that polls show, including today, polls came out today. They're doing a lot of general election polls, which cannot be more useless, but they still do them now. They do give us a sense of what's going on. And in the general election polls of Trump versus various Democrats, Biden beats Trump by 4 or 5 points. That's meaningless from now to next November 3rd, 2020, but still it says something. Then it gets Bernie breaking even or up by 1, and then others are close within the margin of error. And depending on the state you're looking at. So that's the big thing for Biden. But let's take a break. Come back. I'd love to hear from you. 866-997-4748. You're my guest. What do you think of the vote today overturning Donald Trump? He's got to veto a bill because Republicans in the Senate bucked him. He's got to be so upset today. Because if it was only a few Republicans, he could have tried to make an example. By 12, and I think they united together on purpose to say to Trump, you cannot make an example of any of us. We're 12. We are a huge number. We're a big percentage of the Republican. You're talking about 30% of the Republicans in the Senate today bucked Donald Trump. That's remarkable. I don't know when that last happened. So I'd love to hear from you. 866-997-4748. Be right back with more of the Dean Obeidallah Show and your calls right after this.
The Dean Obeidallah Show.
Voting is the most important civil right of our era because the right to vote preserves all other rights. It's not the Second Amendment. It's not guns. It's voting.
SiriusXM Progress.